Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina and I'm an acceleration expert. And I'm here we are here, I should say, for the chats. Oh my gosh, I'm totally in a different vibe than I usually am. Hold on a second, let me get back to that. For those of you who are new, I'm Christina, and we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, way showers, and new paradigm visionaries. We have abilities, we have capacities that are not embraced by our larger human family, and therefore the way we face these challenges, the way we experience these challenges is very different than the rest of the human population. So I'm here to do, to the best of my ability, to give a liberated perspective to the challenges and the way that we face them. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll pause here and give everybody a minute to come on board. Say hi once you're here. Let me know. Let me know you're here. It's a beautiful, beautiful fall day here in Appalachia. I have to say that I am falling in love with this place more and more every day, which is really cool. Hey, Beverly, good to see you. Hello, mwah. Aloha, Joanne, good to see you. All right, so so yeah, I'm falling in love with this place because it's so, so beautiful, and fall is my most favorite time of the year. It's such a magical time of the year. And those of you guys, who are familiar with the cycles of the season, this time of year is considered to be the time of year where the veils between the realms are the thinnest. And this is why a lot of times in a lot of traditions, this is the time to honor one's ancestors, honor those who have come before you, and also to voice grievances that ancestors may have had before they're passing on to the next realm. There's a lot of reasons for that, but this I want to highlight this because this is something that is even more important for us starseeds and way showers, because we are way showing a new way of being, an entirely different way of being in this world, and these are one of those. This awareness of realizing that fall is about that reassessing and remembering and connecting with those who have come before us, and clearing out the debris that perhaps is no longer useful anymore. We have those capacities to support us in how we show living differently, what it looks like in this reality. So I just wanted to just bring that into the circle of things as we talk. So there's a few things on my mind that I really want to talk about. I want to talk about insectoids, insectoid consciousness. I'm seeing some posts and hearing things that I feel like insectoids are widely misunderstood. And I want to give, of course, a more liberated perspective about that. Because remember, it's not about good or bad or right or wrong. It's about being in right relationship with the forces of the universe, with the forces of nature. Okay. And to deem one thing an enemy in nature is us holding ourselves in certain blind spots. And then we also hold the consciousness that we're judging in place as well. So I feel like insectoids have been caught in that matrix. So I want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about healing, the importance of us through this reflection of fall, the importance of us to be healing the things within us that are in the way of inner unity, that are in the way of frequencies unifying within us. Okay, I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm also going to talk about realities we've created for ourselves. So this one has to get framed up a little bit. So as a starseed, as an indigo, as an awakened one in childhood, we very often had to create alternate realities for ourselves to have certain kinds of expressions, because there just wasn't room for that in the family, in our school life, in our friend life, and there wasn't just room for that in our world matrix that we're experiencing. So a lot of us created kind of like fantasy lands within our dream time, within our, in our dream space, but also in our like imaginary world. We did this because this was the only place for certain parts of us to exist. So I want to talk about something that's really significant for us to be doing to reclaim some of our frequencies, because for those of us who say had a really active imagination, or had imaginary friends, or had that alternate world that we had, as a child, we still have energy out there holding it together. And during this time, during this fall this fall season of the veils thinning, this is a wonderful time for us to reclaim those energies, so we can have that much more frequency, that much more quantum to create in our here and now reality. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, where do I want to dive in first? Well, I'll just continue on this thing about star seeds creating alternate realities for us to have an expression that is suppressed in our everyday world. Now, now you guys let me know. When you were growing up, did you seem to daydream a lot? Did you seem to like kind of be checked out of this reality, and like had a lot of imaginary realms that you played in, like imaginary fairy realms that maybe weren't so imaginary, or it had these secret worlds that you played in, that you interacted in? If you have, I want to invite you to consider if that alternate realm is still serving you now. Do you still visit it? Do you still play within that realm? Because if you don't still play in that realm, you still have energy. You still have energy out there within the multidimensional matrix of things, holding that reality together, which means that much more of your energy is not available for you right now. It's holding an alternate reality open for you that maybe you visit in dream time, maybe you don't. Maybe it's just out there hanging out. And when you think about who we are as multidimensional beings, we are nesting dolls of consciousness that is all nicely packed within this biosuit. Now, this biosuit is hyperdimensional. So, so when we are creating things in this reality, it doesn't start with the physical world. It starts within the quantum. It starts out here in those outer nesting dolls. And then then the inner nesting doll to that may be your galactic mind, who you are as a galactic being. And then there's another nesting doll in there. Who are you as a master creator being? Then there's a nesting doll within that, which is your intent for being so, which many might call your soul song. And then there's another nesting doll within that, which is the light structure that is the expression of your soul song. And then the nesting dolls continue to come in until you get into this 3D reality where, you touch things and you feel the touch. And when you tap, it makes a sound. All right. You knock on wood, it makes a sound. Then we have this what appears to be a solid reality to us. Okay. So when, as a child, you weren't necessarily, so all of you who you were, maybe were not getting nurtured for that to have an expression through your biosuit. So off here in some of these outer nesting dolls, we created very much a reality where we desire to be seen, a reality where we desire to be reactive. We interactive with magical stuff, with magical beings. We wanted to, we created this reality of fantasy and magic where we explored as children. A lot of times we were still awake while we were exploring it. Maybe it was during our playtime we were doing it. Okay. So what's really important is that, all these sub-realities that we create because in the here and now we're not getting met, that kind of creates these back doors. It creates these back doors where we're not fully committed in being present in the here and now, because some part of us knows we can always retreat back into some of those alternate realities that we created. Okay. And and what I want you guys to ask yourself is that alternate reality that you're holding in those outer nesting dolls, is it still serving you? Because if it's not, this is the time. This is the time to call that energy back in. Call that energy back in so you can create archetype something else in these quantum levels that actually does go towards what's really serving you right now. Okay, there's several comments that are rolling in, so I'm going to pause here and read some of the comments here. All right, so dear sister Tasha. Hi, Tasha. Good to see you. She says, hi there. I am picking up my babies from school. Oh, yeah. Just wanted to drop by and send my love to you all. Mwah, mwah. Thank you. Love to all of you. And okay, thank you so much, Tasha, for that. So Tasha's sending her love to all of us. And actually, that's kind of like the essence of why these realities exist. It's because some part of us doesn't feel loved and seen and appreciated. And because of that, we retreat to these places where we can have that experience. So perfect timing, Tasha, to be doing that. So she's just laying forward another layer of the field of love and appreciation. So thank you. All right, young trick named Jim's chiming in. He says, speaking of imagination, I imagine a joyful reality without conflict, both internally and externally. And so it is my reality. I still see suffering, but it is perfect. 3D reality is just lessons. Okay, so here's a perspective for you on that. And dear, he goes on to say, and every lesson of every moment is beautiful to me. Trauma is an amazing opportunity. Yes, once you're on the other side of it, absolutely. Hey, Stacy, good to see you. Thank you for being here. So, right, and so touching on those trauma pieces, that's another thing that happens with trauma. Some part of us splits off and goes into one of these unseen realities, and oftentimes stays there. It doesn't get retrieved. And I'm saying these realities as if it's something outside of us, but really it's something that is in our subconscious, our all-encompassing subconscious. So it's still within us. It's just disconnected from our main conduit of our being. Okay, so a lot of times we are engaging in this 3D reality based on a false construct that we've made in order to keep us safe, in order to keep us acceptable, in order to keep us in a certain spectrum of expression that's not too risky, and ideally, this is the ego driver's job, not to get us traumatized again, right? So a lot of people are waking up to that they want to be authentic but can't. They, even though they want to with all of their heart, but for some reason they can't bust through it. All right. And this is part of those reasons. This is part of why, is that you need to give that part of you a reason to be here. Why is being home in the here and now more attractive than being off in, say, the Fey realm, or being off in this alternate reality that you have going on in your subconscious, right? So it's a very honest conversation that needs to take place with those aspects of you. And the point isn't to bulldoze these parts of you that are having a hard time being present with the realities of the here and now. It's really about coming to a consensus with that part of who you are, and realizing that part of you has needs, that part of you has desires. And if you're on board with those needs and desires, using your manifestation abilities, your creation abilities to meet those needs and desires, then that part of you is going to be more likely to come home from those alternate realities that you've constructed. Okay. So, so you create things not in the physical realm. The creation starts as an idea, as an imagination. Okay. And the willingness to bring what is in your imagination into the physical realm is where that piece right there is where a lot of us get tripped up, because we imagine, and then we layer all these false beliefs about creation in there and about who we are in there, and we don't pay attention to the deep voices inside of us that are contributing into the creation of what we're imagining. So Like dear brother Trick Named Jim's example, imagining a world internally, externally, where with a joyful reality without conflict. Now, that's a dream. That is, I have a dream. And now the I have the dream is a matrix now in the quantum. It's a matrix that's probably tangible to you, I imagine, young Trick. And when you source from that and align all the pieces, parts of you to that, then others in this that share that matrix, that share that dream, come get drawn into your life, into our lives, where we can then collaborate, we can work together, we can get together and use our group dreaming qualities to bring that much more inertia into manifesting, into the creation of what we want. Now, this world is not just one world. This is many, many worlds layered on top of each other. So each action that we take that is in alignment with the matrix of that dream, in alignment with what we created in the quantum, that brings it through another layer. And then it's sitting there working for a little bit until we heal more inside of ourselves or unify more within ourselves. And then we come to the next layer. And eventually, as more and more people join us in this dream, more and more people agree with us, that we have a consensus, right? More and more people come into consensus with this dream, then we are that much closer to bringing it through each of those layers of reality until eventually we see it manifest in this world. This world, though, this realm of the mother, this Pachamama, there are many, 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 many realities within this realm. Not all of them humans have contact with, okay? So there are many, many contributors into creating these dreams, into the realization of these pieces. And the journey to a profound, great dream like that young Trick is talking about, that's a profound dream. Which means that it takes a connection to the profound aspects of self to bring forward. So as we walk to bring that forward each minute of every day, okay, we are having those opportunities to heal and unify within ourselves. And from the sounds of it, young Trick, dear brother, has had some beautiful, graceful experiences keeping focused on that dream, keeping focused on realizing what is in the quantum for him and others around him into the here and now reality. This is quite literally how humans reclaim this world. We reclaim our world, the human world, by doing this. But it takes a lot of personal work because we were born through a matrix. One of the matrix of realities overlaid upon ours is divisiveness, is polarity, is duality. That's that 4D field. Actually, it happens even further out, but the 4D field, we know a lot. We have a tangible experience of those, right? Thought forms and mind control and blah, blah, blah. It's a big, long list. So we were born, we came through those realms as we manifested, which means those realms had an imprint, made an imprint on our being, not just our soul being, but also our physical being, because we also have our ancestry of all those who've been born into that matrix as well. So it is a very deep healing journey that we go on in order to unify all these pieces and quite literally erase the imprints from that 4D matrix, from that 4D reality. And I'm talking about this now because there are huge explosions of false realities that have fallen, and now there is a profound, yet another profound, let's say, template of consciousness that is being made available to humanity right now. And it's beyond words. I don't really have the words to explain it. But when I watched it come online for my own being, I instantly was made aware of the parts of me that still feel divided in certain ways. So one of the questions that was posed to me was, can you forgive those that have compromised themselves? Can you forgive those that, gave in to the pressure? Can you forgive those that are that are so willing to compromise themselves, and not only just for themselves, but try to force that compromise onto others? And that for me, that runs very, very deep. So that's where I'm at now currently with my work. It's being able to allow the compassion to come in for all of those who have been selling themselves out and then going on to perpetrate that same kind of sellout upon others. So as these templates of consciousness, because this is an energy that we're all enveloped in, there's no choice here. There's a choice on a quantum level because we're here, but as far as a being of light within a biosuit, we are in it. We're strapped in. We're on the roller coaster ride. There's no getting off this train. We're here to see it through. Okay, that's why I say we have no choice. We are going into areas of energy where it's going to really push our inner divisiveness that we weren't even aware was there up to the surface for us to deal with, for us to transmute in the way that we know how. Okay, so the personal work that we've been doing is more essential than ever when these templates come online, because it can quite literally manifest as illness if we're not paying attention. It can manifest looking like you have the flu. It can manifest looking like an old injury has come back, or an old sickness has come back, like a retrovirus or whatever. It's all because there's subtle pieces inside of us are all of a sudden revealed as holding a frequency, holding an attitude, holding a pattern that is not conducive to this larger consciousness template that is informing us. Okay. I'm going to check in the comments real quick because there are a few that just went boom, 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 boom. Okay. All right. Dear sister Ella, good to see you, darling. I'm glad you're here. She says, yes, I did, but not have done it for a very long time. The last ones that I most remember is being in nature and flying with no wings. Okay. So she's talking about the alternate realities that we create within ourselves. All right. So you guys listening to this live or in the recording, just take a moment. And if you're listening to the recording, you can hit pause. Just take a moment and feel into any alternate realities you might still be having out there in the quantum, and see if you can connect with that part of you that is maintaining that reality, and see if you can negotiate a coming together again. Okay. Coming together again. And that way you can, that much more quantum is no longer manifesting that back door, that escape. That quantum is now in the here and now for all, and you'll have that much more available to you to create the reality that really makes a difference for you in the here and now. All right, dear brother Trick says, thank you for the offering. I feel like I'm living a dream on a daily basis. Shadow work was the only way I've been able to gather the split pieces of me and from me. From one country. Yes, exactly. Yeah, shadow work is huge, 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 huge. I still have work to do, though. I am neither ascended nor descended, but I choose ascension in every moment. Yes, whatever that means for you guys, right? Don't let any other ascension narrative inform you on what that word means, because I think for different people it means different things. Okay, so there's a sect of like the new age community that believes that that this whole it looks a certain way. And I've never really resonated with that particular narrative. For me, it's about waking up to who we are as infinite beings within this biosuit, and then living according to that, living as a true expression of that. Okay. So my particular frequency of resonance with ascension is very different than that collective narrative that is popular out there. So I imagine, Trick, that you probably have your own refined meaning of what that is. All right, dear sister Joanne goes on to say, is it that we have no choice, or that we are needing to realize we already made the choice and are now just awakening to the fact Exactly. Bingo. Yep, that's it, Joanne. We already made the choice. Now we're here in our biosuits to understand it and to see it through, right? Absolutely. Ella says, can the body be used as an instrument to transmute and integrate energies within the 4D practices? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is our power as an individual. Yes. As we alchemize it, transform it within our own being, and give it a place of harmonic resonance, as in a place that it lives in a way where it's no longer in a perpetrator, victim, or power over dynamic game in any way, that's transmuting it. So it can still exist, but it's in existence in harmony within us. It's not a conflict within us. I feel that a predominantly present way to process is through stretching layer upon layer within. Yeah, it is. It does, exactly. To me, is choosing joy in every moment. Oh, nice. So Young Trick has defined ascension as choosing joy in every moment. Yes, that's lovely. Thank you. Yes, all right. And then we're all right. We're backing up Joanna on what she said. Yes. So yeah, and I love that. We've made the choice on a quantum level, and now we're here living it. We're living what that choice is. And, there are quite literally secrets that we keep from ourselves on a quantum soul level, right? So because of that, there's a lot of things that stay in the mystery. And this is why we want to have a clear inner compass. So we're taking action, not because we understand, we're taking action because our compass is pointing to what's right for us. What is right for us right now? What is the right step forward, right? That's how that goes. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up, because they want to understand before they make the choice. And the fact is, that's just not available. That's just not available, because the levels at which we made these decisions, we can't touch with our conscious mind. We may be able to get threads of it, right? The threads that we can have that won't interfere. But, as we take those threads and weave it into our lives, and what it means to weave that into our lives is that we live it. We make conscious choices to live as an authentic expression of our truth. And then that is what brings that part of us more and more into our being, embodied, and influences our world interdimensionally, and of course, and the mundane levels too. So that's all part of the process. All part of the process. So this takes me into that, really that shadow work, looking at what hinders unity within us. All right, so let me give you an example. All right, my favorite example is using wildlife. Wildlife, when you're in right relationship with wildlife, it's beautiful, it's majestic, it's inspiring, healing even. But if you're not in right relationship with wildlife, you could quite literally end up being somebody's lunch. Yeah, you can end up severely injured or eaten if you're not in right relationship with nature. And humanity is learning this slowly but surely. For those of us who've had intense healing journeys, we have more of the sense of how important it is to be in alignment with nature as far as the cycles go, and as in the growing seasons and the cycles of the moon and stuff like this. It's like we understand to, being in harmony with those rhythms helps us be in harmony within ourselves. Then we can be that much more in the right place in the right time when it's important. And then also a side benefit from that is that we start healing more on a unifying on a soul level, and then healing on a physical level. All right, let me, Lisa Marie's jumping in here, so let me go ahead and start reading some of those off. So it says, moments before this blog, I made a video for a woman that I've been energetically working with for 15 years, but I ghosted a few years ago because of a mother wound. I've done a lot of personal work around the Divine Mother, unconditional love, projections, and woundings until they were no more. The storyline was mostly about me, a tiny bit more about her, but the disequilibrium of the frequency Yes, 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 yes. So part of what she's talking about with that story is, right now in the Healer Acceleration Lab in the academy, we're doing recapitulations, and everybody is recapitulating with their partners or in their pods, and they're experiencing, sharing a story that has a lot of emotional charge, but also sharing the story in order to get in touch with what aspects of us we weren't aware of, what aspects of us we weren't actually in touch with at the time. And by doing that, we release a lot of bound up energy that hasn't had its expression. And in that, realizations happen. You realize, oh, it wasn't actually them, it was me. Or, oh, I was completely disconnected from myself. That's why, that's what contributed into this inauthentic exchange between me and this other person. It can be like that. It can also be in the sense of, oh, I thought I was a victim here, but I was actually the one being the perpetrator. But I was so disconnected from what I was feeling, what I was actually doing, and paying attention to what was actually happening, because you were in your story, right? Then you realize, oh, what was really happening was totally different than what I thought was happening, right? That too moves a lot of energy, and it helps us wake up to the fact that we only can really be aware of what's happening when we are in touch with how we're feeling, when we're in touch with how we be. Okay, that's really an important factor here. All right, so frequency to my deep soul work. I wanted her to know my ghosting was unraveling my traumas. Yes, yes. And it was a catalyst. Yes, beautiful. So you're letting her off the hook. If there was a hook that she was on, right? Because maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. You don't really know, but all you can really say is, own it. Once you own it, you're part of it. Then that other person can now be in a different relationship with you. They're no longer locked. And this is the other piece of that. When you are in relationship with somebody and they are this, and when you're in when you are in relationship with somebody and they are this, and that's all it is because of this, and you have all these reasons why they're like that, and you're not changing, in that attitude is something you're adapting in as absolute truth. Now this relationship has very little wiggle room. This person's now in a box. Okay, they're in energetically on a quantum level, even can go all the way up to the quantum levels. You have them now in a box, and there's no way for this relationship to shift. There's no way to experience something different anymore because this box has been placed. So once you take what's yours and own it and say, oh, this was me this and this was me that, now all of a sudden this other person that's in relationship with you can be in a different place in relationship to you. You see what I mean? So now there's by you claiming and healing and bringing unification inside yourself with all this, now there's a new potential that can be realized within this relationship. Now, this is just two people that I'm talking about. Imagine how it is with you and a collective of people, or you with with your family members or your children or past lovers, or, you know what I mean? That's how it works. We choose our relationship. Okay. We choose our relationship by the attitudes we hold, by the emotions we feel, and either let go of or hold on to. Okay, when we hold on to things, that's when things are going sideways. And when we let things just flow through us, because our natural state is free flow, then now it's all just a moment within the journey. It's nothing that you have to carry with you. They get off the hook, you are off the hook, and you guys are both free to be in whatever truth happens to be in that next moment. When you're hanging on to that, you're not in that next moment as the moment offers. You are in a conglomeration of everything in the past. And now there's certain things you want from them, an apology maybe, or this or that, or you know what I mean? There's things like that to have to get worked out. So you can see now more of how this is impacting our relationship. Now, this actually connects into our relationship to the universe, our relationship to the planet. Okay, our relationship to our quantum self, our relationship to creation itself. All of this is held in place by those things that we hold on to. Okay, so the recapitulation process helps us get deeper into what's the energy, what's the emotions, what's the feeling behind the story, And in the acknowledgement of that, we can let it go. We can let it move. Because once you feel an emotion, it starts moving. And the idea is to keep with it, keep feeling it, keep letting it move until it moves all the way through. And then you're done with holding that energy anymore. And you're no longer, there's that part of you that was invested in holding the energy, I'll call it a grudge, holding the grudge or whatever, is no longer obligated to do that and is now free. That much more energy is free to move freely within you. Okay. All right. Dear Sister Ella says, talking about nature, this week I've been every single afternoon for hours. I've been in nature, normally under trees, and stretching has helped so much to go through a breakup and own healing. Yeah. It's so nurturing to be in nature. And Joanne says, powerful confirmation of how relationships are given the opportunity to evolve. Yes, exactly. They need to evolve. And this is what humanity is learning to let go of. We have a lot of belief structures. We have all these things that were given to us that were lies. And now these lies are coming to the surface and we're realizing it's like a life or death choice to either hang on to the lie or let it go and see what other kind of potential can come forward. And this is a wonderful dawning for humanity as a collective to wake up to. Right. So the other set of energies we've been working a lot in the academy is our relationship to Saturn and the Dark Lords of Saturn. I think I talked about this last week, and it's really, really cool when we work out those feelings, when we work out those pieces, the parts of us that are maybe holding on, or the parts of us that feel like we can't survive without, stuff like that. As we move and shift those feelings and let that change, we are allowing the expression of Saturn to be different. We're allowing the potential expression of Saturn to be different than what it has been. And this is, we're doing this on a collective level. For a long time, Saturn energies were associated with, I'm saying it backwards. So a lot of times, especially starseeds and indigos and high-level creatives, maybe didn't have the best relationship with Saturn. They might have felt stifled by the structure. And that was because all of these other interceptions in that 4D field were distorting it and were purposely making it stifling because they want to siphon the life force energy into an agenda that's not our own. Okay, so the best way to do that is disconnect us from our own dreams and give us these programs that, oh, you have to do this in order to exist in this world. And then we start investing all of our life force energy, or a significant portion of our life force energy, into the matrix, right? You guys remember this growing up? You have to get a good education, so you get a job, so you can pay your bills, so you can get married and have a family and have a real life. That was the program. But now more and more are waking up that, they've done all that and they're still miserable, right? So they're waking up that, no, that's not the program. That's not the program that I want. So, by letting these unacknowledged emotions move, we're allowing for new potentials to arise within us. And this is the big piece, that unification can come in more deeply. And then we are more in alignment with those dreams that we have within the quantum. And it's like a structure. It starts off as a sound, a tone, and that tone creates a structure. And then from that structure, we use our inspiration, our feeling, our imagination to pull it quite literally through the ethers into coalescing in the way that it needs to in the energies to coalesce in the 3D the way it needs to for it to actually manifest before our eyes. And usually it's a co-creative experience. It's something that's collaborative. It's not just a single person, because we want to be an island because it's easier. As empaths, very often we want to be an island because it's easier, but that's not our nature. Our nature is to be interconnected with everything around us. So it's not just interconnected with nature, but it's interconnected with our community, with our people, with our tribe. Okay. All right. Yeah, Ella says, on point. It's all about, I've been thinking this week around energies and relationships and layers of self and everything. Yes. Joanne goes on to say, Saturn as a teacher would have us learn to be integrous, impeccable, and keep our agreements. There you go. Yeah. And the reversal of that, the inversion of that a lot of us have experienced, is that we go into agreements not realizing what they really are. right? We're not realizing the true ramifications of that. We get tricked into we get coerced into creating agreements that we normally would not if we were in our truth. A lot of people get into marriages that they wouldn't normally get into without the social pressure to get married, right? So there's a lot of that kind of thing going on. All right, did I miss one from Lisa? Oh, no, you got it. Yeah, Lisa Marie, you're talking about. Yeah. Thank you for that. So the inversion expression of the Saturn is going into these thinking it's one thing and finding out after you committed that it's something else. And actually, I should say, until you're in so deep you can't get out of it is when you realize it's not what you thought it was. That's really how that Saturn reversal goes. Okay, where am I at? Oh, 44. I swear I was only talking for 5 minutes. Okay, speaking of agreements and stuff, let me get into insectoids because this is something I really want to talk about. Okay, 'tis the season. 'Tis is beetle season. I don't know if you guys know that. This is when many species of beetles are coming into the house. The ants are coming in looking for water. The wasps are really, really highly activated because they are in the final throes of their life cycle. The bees are also in their final run to collect what they can for their winter time. So there's a lot of activity in the insectoid realm in fall because this is when all the beings are preparing. Now I'm talking about in nature, beetles and insects, but as we know, just like we are stars inside of a human body, they too have origins in the stars that are in an exoskeleton body. Okay. They don't, the level of consciousness that they are holding within their exoskeleton is very, very different than what we are because of the DNA and all that stuff, right? Our DNA gives us a much more broader expression and experience, but the beetle DNA and the different insectoids, they are still a stellar expression within the physical. So when it comes to insectoids, it's really, really interesting when you start paying attention to your reaction to when they start coming into your world, whether they be wasp or spider or beetle or ant. Okay. It's really important to pay attention to what your body does when you come across them. If you kind of go into shriek mode, okay, I know this is going to sound, well, it's me, so everything I say is kind of crazy, but it's crazy but very real, right? So when you have a retraction reaction, when you have a big reaction to an insect, that reaction did not start in that moment. That reaction is a snowball of something that happened way, 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 way back when. And when I'm saying way back when, I'm talking about millions of years back in our evolution, if you were to look at it in a time space kind of way. The original embodiment for consciousness in the original universe was insectoid. Okay, it was an insectoid. And we as a species have a discombobulated relationship to that because of all of the galactic, intergalactic, and stellar trauma dramas that have happened with the exploration of power over dynamics. So when we come in contact with intense primal energies, very often our ego driver can't handle it. Our ego driver has to check out, okay? Or we just kind of like go in freak out mode and we don't really recognize anything other than our freak out. Okay. And this is where plant medicines can come in and help us here and there about that. Because these primal energies are also needing expression within our being as well. Our hindrances, our inhibitions are what siphon it off. Okay. So the coming of the reptilian DNA after the insectoid DNA, that was like the next upgrade. Okay, and then from the reptilian DNA started to evolve another kind of DNA, and this is where you get other beings like the aquatics. This is where you get the amphibians, where you get the bird tribes. You get these other DNA expressions. And eventually, enough of the star consciousness, star elders, let's call them, came together and took DNA from all these different expressions of biosuits and put them together in such a way where it creates our particular combination, the humanoid. Okay. So the humanoid is extremely special because we are the closest thing so far that has been found of divine expression, true creatorship within a biosuit. And true creatorship is not something that happens when you're separate from something. It happens when you are one with something. And when you are in unification with something, what you create is something that serves all other parts of itself. Okay, we don't when we're all interconnected with each other, we create something that brings more enrichment, more beauty, versus when we're creating stuff from being in disconnection, we create things that create more divide, create more separation. You see what I mean? And we're at this time of unification because these consciousness templates that are in our quantum field right now are profound, and they're like squeezing them. They're squeezing, calling themselves together. And it's quite literally squeezing the stuff of us in our subconscious that is invested in keeping that separation going. And making friends with the insectoids and journeying, and this is the main point here, journeying with the insectoids to their message, okay, that they have for us, is a fast track way, let's say, of reunification of those divides within. Okay. So the next time you see a beetle, next time you see, a wasp harassing you or whatever, take some time to meditate and connect with that insectoid consciousness and see where it takes you. It's going to take you to someplace where there's a division, and someplace where by just touching it with your awareness, with compassion, okay, and love, then you can start to melt that division, quite literally melt that division. And then that insectoid frequency gets released in how it was once in relationship with you, and it could come back in a different relationship. So this also goes for ET insectoids. There's a lot of demonization of ET insectoids. And the fact is, they're not all like that. There's as much division within the insectoid DNA as there is in human DNA. So to demonize them doesn't make sense because we too have it, right? So some of the friendly, I say friendly just because that's our relationship, that's my relationship with them. They have a lot of mystical qualities to them that are doorways for us to waking up beyond the galactic mind. They actually are, like, say, guardians or gatekeepers of doorways for us to expand our awareness beyond who we are as a galactic being and start going into the cosmic levels of who we are, then into the multiverse levels of who we are. Okay. So insectoids are an essential part of our awakening process. They are an essential part of that. To make them wrong is really shooting yourself in the foot. And if you're having big reactions to them, that's also an indication that you have unresolved drama in relationship to that energy. So here I have another example on how this can play out. Oh, here, wait a minute. There's a bunch of comments. Let me go through some of the comments, and then I'll give my story in a minute. Okay, so going back to Lisa Marie, yes, this woman, I thought I had a wound with contracted me the day after the Saturn energies, along with another woman. What do they have in common? Naturopathic medicine. Hello, Saturn. Woohoo! Yeah, right? Uh-huh. Dear Young Trick says, the paper wasps were so active in September here. Danny and I have owned our home for over 3 years, and this year they were significantly more active. I got a bite for the first time. Yeah. Oh, I got bit for the first time. Yeah, they are pretty hostile this time of year. Because if you're in the way of what they're trying to do, it's like they're doing it before they die, and they know it, and they have that kind of like fervor. They don't very impatient. And then Young Trick goes on to say, "We never kill them. There have been 10 to 15 at a time in our house, but paper wasps are so docile in general. We just coexist with them. We're calm, they're calm." That's great. Young Trick goes on to say, "I'm curious if there has been more insectoid energies lately. We never see them this active before." Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at, is that this consciousness template that's coming in, templates plural, that's coming in, there's insectoids hold the keys for us to get into those deeper places that are hindering the unification of this these consciousness templates that are coming in. Some of them may see it as the Christos Sophia dragon consciousness. Some of us might see it as the awakening of the great Nagi, which is the serpent people, that consciousness. And I don't mean Anunnaki, Draco. I don't mean the power of dynamic players. I mean the true organic, in harmonic with universal creational forces, that kind of consciousness. So we're going to identify it differently according to our relationship to the energy. Okay. But insectoids hold a key, a very important key to unraveling the resistances we have inside to allowing the unification. All right. Young Trick says, "One landed on my nose yesterday. I just showed gratitude and softness for her because I know she's going to die very soon. And the cold weather is coming in." Yeah, the cold weather is coming in. Yeah, yeah. So, going to that story. So I was with a couple brothers that were, they were hanging out, talking with me and helping me fix a leak I had. And they, upon coming to my rig to hang out, they were in deep conversation about these inauthenticity games that happen between women and men, male and female. Romantic or not, it doesn't matter. It's the observation was that there's this dance that happens where, as a, like, in their observation is when women push men away, men respond by pushing away even further. And when men push women away, that women on a subconscious level take that as an invitation to try to come in more. And so we're having this conversation. I had an emotional expression that just kind of like was coming out, and they, held space for that. And then I'm just listening as they're talking and sharing, and these different pieces are coming. And as they're talking about these pieces, I'm having a wasp land on my third eye, land on my head. I mean, first it was like trying to crawl on my body, and I was just letting them crawl on my body, but then they started to pinch me. They started pinching me, and I was kind of like twitchy from getting, tweezer pinched by these wasps, yellow jackets. And I'm like, "Guys, you can land on me, just don't pinch me." It's like, I'm already agitated. Don't pinch me. This is my message to them. And then they started landing on my third eye. And then finally I'm like, okay, there's more that I need to know here. There's more that needs attention than I realized. So then I just calmed down and relaxed, and like I did my best to just put my agitation aside. And then another one. So as one was crawling here, then they started to crawl into my eye and do this kind of thing. And then it got to the point where I felt like it was getting too in my space than what I was comfortable with. So then I wished them away. I'm like, okay, guys, that was enough. But what they were doing, this is in retrospect, because I later journeyed with them. What they were doing was they were getting my attention that I was not seeing things for what they were. I was seeing things through a lens of my previous relationship to that energy. And that in order for new potentials to arise, I needed to wipe that lens clear. And they were also expressing like unacknowledged aggression, unacknowledged power over dynamics that I was just kind of glossing over on subtle levels, and then they were just letting me know that. They were just letting me know, hey, something is off kilter here. Something is askew within you in relationship to this energy that we're talking about. So I did that. I did this, I brushed them off. And then my friend finished up what he was doing with the leek. And I asked him, because I wanted to, what can I do to reciprocate? So, because thank you. And he's like, oh, there's nothing. And then anyway, pretty much the conversation turned into be the exact acting out of the very dynamic that our other dear brother was pointing out that happens between women and men. And when that happened, I was like, oh, it was so obvious, and it was really cool. So, it was really cool to see that. And so these power over dynamics that we have going on are so ingrained and so subtle that we don't even realize it. We think we're just being considerate. We think we're just being nice. We think we're just being in a certain way, not realizing that we're responding to these really, really super subtle energy games. Okay, responding to super and very, very subtle energy games. And the more I guess the older you get, the less obvious it is, because there's habits in here. We're in habitual circumstances. We're in habitual relationship to things. So the wasps doing that really helped me get out of that habitual relationship and see something differently than how I was previously seeing it. And then, of course, later on the journey with them, they gave me a transmission on a much deeper level of what that was about. So insectoids are our friends, guys. Insectoids are helping us. They're helping us see what we have not been able to see before. We just need to respect them and recognize them as an important part of nature. They are doing a service. They belong here too. They are harmonious too within our reality if we let them have that relationship with us. And this translates into the bigger outer nesting dolls of who we are, the galactic, the universal, the multiversal. It's like it helps us come in more alignment with those energies as well. All right. Young Trick says, one landed on my, oh, no, that's the same thing. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, wow, this hour went by so fast, guys. I swear I was only sitting here for like 15 minutes and it's 3:00 already. That's amazing. Okay. So just to bring this all together now, we have energies in the subtle fields that are in these outer nesting dolls. We need to, because of the time that we're in fall, and the veils are thinning. This is specifically for those who are in the northern hemisphere who are experiencing fall. These veils are thinning, and it's a time to honor all of those intentions, those times when you were, putting things out there to create. And this is a time for us to reevaluate all those creations we made in the alternate realms. What is still working for us? What is not working for us? Okay. And then we purposely bring back those structures, those intentions that we made. Because on a subconscious level, when we have all these intentions out here in the quantum and then we don't do anything with it, that becomes part of a dynamic that feeds our subconscious of inadequacy, right? It feeds our experience of disempowerment because there's all these things that we want that never come to pass, right? So energetically, with these veils thinned, with, in connection with your ancestors, start pulling those frequencies back to the here and now. What is important for you in the here and now? What is important for you to, what are you sourcing and what are you creating? What are you envisioning? And when you do this with your ancestors, it's really important and really potent because your ancestors have an opportunity to join you in that process. Maybe your parents had a dream for you and you didn't do that. Well, they get the opportunity to reclaim that. So now the momentum and the quantum is that you're not meeting their expectations, right? Same thing with parents who have kids. All the hopes and dreams you had for their kids and now they're adults. We need to pull those hopes and dreams back, all those structures back. For our children, if that's not the will of our children to live that expression, we need to pull it back. So they are on a deep subconscious level are not feeling like they are disappointing us, you see? So when you do this together as a lineage, it's really, really, really potent, very potent. Alrighty. And of course, those insectoids are here to help us. They are our allies too, if we can allow them to be our allies. All right, guys. Whew. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this conversation. I really love being able to talk about this on these levels with you guys. If there's more from this conversation that gets stirred up, I encourage you guys to put comments down and talk below in the comments. That way other people can see where you're at too and resonate, you know, see where they're at in relationship. It's really important for us to put things out there like that so we can see each other, so we're not just hiding or staying in our own inner world. We need to let it out because there's a lot more like us than we realize, and that is huge. That is so huge. All right, love you guys. I hope you guys make it a great day, and I shall see you next week. Mwah. Bye-bye.